So, what if I told you that the future is actually behind you? There's a language from a tribe in South America that describes the future as what is behind you, while the past is actually in front of you. Now, when you think about this, I think it actually makes sense since everything we are seeing and interpreting right now is based on our history and how we experience the world so far. Now, when I look at my life, it is full of diversions and plot twists. And today, I want to share a couple of my learnings. And if they resonate with you, take them into our mysterious future. To give you some context, let me briefly go through my life. Today, I'm the co-founder and CEO of a new biotechnology company. And we are working on discovering and developing treatments for people with rare or underserved disorders. Now, this is my second company in the biotech space. The first one I started after being diagnosed with a rare disease myself. The doctors found several tumors in my brain and spinal cord after I lost the hearing on my left side. And I was diagnosed just after I moved to the San Francisco Bay Area with a company in the mobile messaging space. Now, that company I started in the Netherlands a couple of years earlier, and I had a chance to move it here after our product took off, and we successfully closed 2 venture financing rounds. Prior to that, I worked on a company, a design thinking company, and I ran that in the Netherlands, and we worked on all kinds of problems for our clients. I spun out several ideas into separate companies, and at that point, I was self-financing them. Now I'm here today because I am a TU Delft alumnus, and I studied architecture and building technology with the belief that sometime I would be an architect. While studying, I also ran a software company that I started in high school after I taught myself how to code. And finally, as a child, I grew up in a lovely family in a small town in the Netherlands. And as far as I can go back, I've always been building stuff and playing with Legos. And number 1, remember the playful child in you. In the companies I founded or co-founded, the most productive and creative times are characterized by the team actually being in a state of flow. It's contrary to the stereotypical like hard management or like relentless execution on a strict plan, which might have a place. But in one of the companies where we were building a new communication platform, we had an app that allowed people to interact with each other through their GPS location. And our product was loved by many people, but at some point it became clear it wasn't gonna be as big as we all hoped. And at that point, we probably spent too much time trying too hard to fix the issues. And after we finally let go, based on our learnings, we actually created a whole new way of interacting, more through video. And not only did that save the company, but it propelled it to the next level. And that time, the team was focused, it was effective, co-creating, and frankly, everyone was just enjoying. Number 2, look at the opportunities in the areas between. I personally have always enjoyed and being very interested in the gray areas, for example, between disciplines, between people's opinions or cultures. And during my study, I never understood why we had an architecture department and a building technology department. Because to me, the beauty of a building is expressed in the way things come together and everything just seems to fall into place. And today with Rarebase, we look at the opportunities and synergies between science, between the business, regulators like the FDA, doctors, and obviously the patients. Number 3, every problem is an opportunity. Even as a kid, I've always found joy in problem solving. When I see a problem, I can't help myself but think about how to make the situation better. One of the things I learned in architecture school is that to find a solution, what you really need to do is understand the problem, because it's 80% of the work. And when there is no obvious solution, you can just ask yourself, what information are we missing to answer the question? I probably wouldn't work in the biotech industry if I would not have been diagnosed with my tumor disorder. And it's not about positive thinking, it's about the process of finding the opportunity in the problem that presents itself to you. And you can move into action after that. And this is also at the very heart of entrepreneurship. Number 4, find something you love, or find love in what you're doing. When I was a kid, my father once showed me a ruler with 100 centimeters on it, representing like a good human life. And he pointed at the moment I would go to high school, go to university, and then the moment most people choose to retire. It became very obvious that this piece represents a very significant chunk. And his point was, you've got to find something you love doing during all that time, because it literally is your life. So find meaning in what you do. And if for some reason that doesn't work, change something and adjust the context. And as a side note, most people I met find the deepest meaning in the service to or interaction with other people. Closing the old creates space for the new. Your ability to create something new depends on your ability to close the old. And I've had to shut down and let go of companies, products, ideas, dreams, and it forced me to go through the difficult emotions of grief and sadness. It was only after I started seeing that this work was necessary to create space for the new that I finally saw the point of it. Letting go of a product you might be working on, or maybe a way your organization works, is a very important step in its evolution. The problem is there isn't always a clear answer to when to let go of the old. And it's more like an art, like a personal choice, and something everyone probably has to learn the hard way. After I was diagnosed, I was still working with great passion on the video messaging company. And I also was working on sequencing my tumor in order to try to find a potential drug that could help me. When I was catching up with one of my investors, Ashton Kutcher, he called me, called me out, and he told me, like, life is short, dude. Like, you need to be, you see, like he said, you seem to be so excited about your work in drug discovery. So why don't you just do that and close the shop? To build your dream, stay grounded in reality. Both entrepreneurs and architects live in a dream world, and it's their job to make these dreams real. Now, in order to do that, we have to be fully grounded in the situation as it exists. And the biggest mistake you can make as an entrepreneur is having an idea or dream about how the world should work and then assuming everyone would go along with it, because they won't. You can either stay living in your fantasy, or you can acknowledge the truth and define the appropriate steps to get closer to the world you want to build. Learn how to not do, or even do nothing. We're always so consumed by the things we have to do, but we hardly ever think about what not to do. The art of doing nothing, or choosing what not to do, is probably the most overlooked productivity tool out there. Right now, as a CEO of a biotech company, I choose not to write code. As a company, we choose not to run a wet lab, but instead partner with other companies. We choose to focus on the creative part of science and scaling up the processes to manage the execution. Do not confuse stuff being hard with the odds of success. Now, there is a common myth that startups are always hard. And there is a contradictory myth that startup founders are successful and rich. But both are obviously false. The truth is, most startups fail, but not necessarily because they are hard to run. Hard implies like uncomfortable, undesirable effort. And if you think as an entrepreneur that hard is a necessary evil, you may find yourself actually focusing on the wrong things. If you're developing a product and selling it is hard, maybe instead of powering through, you should take a week off and think about why your customers aren't beating down your door to buy your product or service. I have learned this many times over the hard way. Number 9, final one. The best investment you can make is one in yourself. Investing in yourself is not selfish. It's arguably the best thing you can do for others. We are constantly getting out of our own way in order to manifest as we are. Every company I have started or project I engaged in has helped me to learn and grow. And I can show up the next time with greater integrity and self-awareness. We are born as infinitely complex beings and come without a user manual. We have to write it as we figure ourselves out. To close off, the challenges we face as a species today, I think, cannot be understated. However, we shouldn't turn ourselves away from them and instead start seeing them as opportunities. We should stop pretending they don't exist, and if necessary, confront and deal with our own fears in the process. When I got diagnosed with brain and spinal tumors, I was afraid to lose my hearing, or ability to walk, or ability to see. But if I would not have confronted them, I would not have been able to do the work I do today to try to change the biotech industry in rare and ultra-rare disorders. The world does not need your fear, but it does need you to see what's happening, dream about a better situation, and to simply take a step. You will be wrong and you will learn, but keep investing in yourself, stay playful like a child, and look for opportunities in the problems and the uncharted territory. Thank you.
Oh no, thanks a lot for that. Can we see your face in full size?
I'll stop sharing.
Yeah, it's nice just seeing a person's face. A lot of times common sense but often we tend to ignore things in front of our faces and go for more complex things. So I feel really, I find things with the points you raised really inspiring. But I'm curious, where do you see your company, Rare Base, um, in 5 years? Where do you hope to see it?
Yeah. So in our company, what we really try to do is, instead of seeing all these rare diseases as tiny little projects, we try to see it as one big project. It's like, I was telling someone last week, like right now, it's like a million snails, like very slowly making process. And what I want is to see these things come together and like build a couple of bigger rocket ships. And there is so much overlap in all these disorders. Everyone is reinventing the wheel. It's really hard for people to collaborate because all the issues they're working on are so personal. Like, they can be like a child that has a disorder, right? If it's your child, that's the only thing that matters. People will go like, they will do anything to save their kid. So we kind of have to build this platform that allows everyone to kind of learn from each other's mistakes and see opportunities through all these different rare disorders. So what I want to see is that we have a significant amount of disorders we are working on. We partner with foundations that sponsor the work and patient communities. And I want to see it grow and see the opportunities that present themselves if you look at many disorders at once. And we are already seeing that today. Like, for example, we are working on a potential therapy that could help 7 of the disorders we looked at. And we only got the idea because we work at a whole bunch of them. And we saw like, oh, wait a minute, there might be a common pattern here. So this, I think, was really important for for the rare disease world.
Okay. We're starting to get more questions in the chat. So first of all, you mentioned you partner with academia. Can you name a few of the partners?
Um, yeah, we partner with like many groups. We partner with patient foundations in the first place, like mostly run by like families that have like an affected family member or loved one. But also, we partner with, I don't know, like I think 20, maybe over 20 academic institutes that might have expertise in a certain disorder or a certain technology. We also partner with companies, biotech companies that might have a technology that's interesting. So we partner with a lot of groups. Yeah, it's
Okay. Hey, I guess they can go to your website for that. We also have a question. The top things that Dutchy had to learn the hard way when doing business in Silicon Valley. And be honest, tell us.
oh man, yeah. I mean, I shared this story earlier today actually, but it's the American culture, the way people do business here is very different from the way people do business in the Netherlands. And I remember this moment when I was fundraising for my video messaging company. I was sitting with an investor drinking coffee, and he was literally like pulling out a checkbook and writing me like a big check. And as a Dutch person, that is like, if you don't are not used to that, super suspicious. Like, what's going on here, you know? But and so I was kind of caught by surprise. And later I learned, no, that's the way people do business, right? They like the idea, they meet you to kind of validate if they like you too, and if they do, they pull out their checkbook, they do business. And that in the Netherlands, it's completely different. I could never have imagined that happen in the Netherlands. And that's one example. But the cultures like seem so similar. But I mean, as everyone can probably acknowledge in this group, is the cultures are actually pretty different.
Oh,
And
yeah.
we have to kind of learn. It's very subtle.
Definitely. Another question. What is one thing that you as an entrepreneur like the most about your work?
Yeah, that is a good question. Um, I feel, first of all, I feel I can't do anything else. Like, nothing else has ever worked for me, or I've not like ventured into it. I really enjoy, thinking about how the world can be better. And I need to fall in love with the problem. And that's what happens all the time. And, I like to challenge the status quo, generate new ideas. Like with a startup, like I start a company because I ran into a problem, but also during the course of building the startup, you're constantly running into roadblocks and problems. So um, what I like is kind of thinking that through, taking a step back, and letting sort of the ideas and the solutions emerge. And when that happens, it feels really good.
Mhm. Onno, there are other questions that are more technical, but I think we'll leave that for the Boral part of our program so people can
Sure.
talk directly to the source. So I'm going to hand it over to my colleague from Delft, Anouk, to say a few words.
Hi, okay, thank you. Onno, thank you so much for this talk. It was really inspiring again, and I think the people joined it. I have a special little gift for you. I will show it, we will send it by mail. It's this box. Oh, can you see it? Yeah?
Yeah, I can see it.
In it are...
Bitterballen.
No, these are special TU Delft for Life socks. And these are special because you can only get this when you are volunteering for the TU Delft. So welcome to the group of volunteers of TU Delft. I will send it by mail to you because, yeah, we really appreciate our alumni to help us out with all these kind of things. So thank you so much.
Great. I will wear them with pride.
Okay, good.
I should point out that is a motivator for all of you to be engaged with your alumni offices, because all of us now more or less have our own university socks to share with you. So that's a nice incentive.